May we now invite our speakers of the panel to come up to the stage. Mr. Bryan Peng, Head of Innovation and Technology, Greater Bay Area, Invest Hong Kong. Mr. Oscar Wong, Head of Business Development, Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks Corporation. And Mr. Teddy Liu, Operation Director, Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund. Thank you. Let's pass it over to our moderator, Maggie, Incubation and Ecosystem Lead of the Muse Fabrica.
Thank you, Trami. And thank you everybody for joining us today. And it's so happy to be here with Bryan, Oscar, and Teddy. When we talk about the Greater Bay Area, it's such a big initiative. It's cross cities, linking Hong Kong, Macau, and 9 cities in the Guangdong province. And this presents actually a large market potential. Perhaps we can start off by sharing a bit, what do you think about the opportunities that this GBA initiative can create for Hong Kong industry and innovator? And of course, at the same time, you can share a bit about what you do in your organizations to the audience. Perhaps we can start with Bryan.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Bryan. So I'm come from Invest Hong Kong. Invest Hong Kong is the government department we support for those companies from overseas and also from the mainland China to set their operation in Hong Kong. So we have dedicated, we have the sector team to cover different sectors to support those companies in different industry, to support them to set their operation in Hong Kong and support them to expand their operation. So when talking about the Greater Bay Area, well, I think the opportunity is so huge. I would say that in terms of, for example, talking about the policy level. In 2019, the central government, of course, including the Hong Kong and also the Guangdong government, we have already decided the agreement, the framework agreement to support the GBA development. So it has very clear direction for each cities. I'm talking about the light cities in the GBA mainland cities and also the 2 SAR, including Hong Kong and Macau. So I think there are quite a lot of synergy to leverage to make use of the strength of different cities. And on the other hand, I just want to make some key point. And on the other hand is that we are talking about the huge market. This is very a big opportunity for the Hong Kong and the whole GBA communities. When talking about only Hong Kong, we have only 7 million people, right, the population. But when we're talking about the Greater Bay Area, it's talking about 10 times of our population. It's 78 million people. And in the recent published population census in the mainland China, the GBA itself, we attract, in the last 10 years, it attract more than 22 million people into the Greater Bay Area. So, as you can see, the market is so huge. And much more than that, it's a very wealthy market. And in GBA itself, we're only talking about the 5% of the mainland China's population, but it contributes 30% of the GDP. So as you can see, the huge market and wealthy people. So obviously, the opportunity is so big, and I think everyone should not miss this opportunity. So I may stop here. Yeah.
Sure, maybe Oscar, anything else to add?
Yeah, my name is Oscar, and I'm the Head of Business Development for Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. I think I echo what Bryan said. GBA is a very stable region with more than 78 million populations, and the GDP is talking about US dollars 1.7 trillion, which is around 12% of the China GDP. Overall, China is on operation for dual circulation economy. Under this strategy, actually China is growing their domestic economy as well as expanding their external market. I think Hong Kong can be very unique position to tap on to the domestic loop as well as facilitating China to expand their market in the external market to the international. GBA has 11 cities, and each of these cities has a very unique position. And all together, we have the strongest position to ride on these 11 cities, offering different economic situations for us. And then furthermore, and Hong Kong is the international international I&T hub, riding on the GBA cities capability, such that most of those our international partners could be able to leverage this capability to expand into this GBA area. SciencePark has put together the GBA Inno Express to help the companies to go into China and map out their needs. And later on, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this GBA Express.
Hi, this is Teddy from Alibaba Entrepreneurial Fund. And the mandate of the fund is supporting the local startup and young people to start their business and providing financial support, and also try to leverage the resources from Alibaba ecosystem to help them grow and help them tap into China market and also overseas markets. In the past almost 6 years, we have invested in over 50 portfolio companies, and quite a few of them have expanded their business to China. Of course, some of them, they set up their operation in GBA as well. I think for startup, GBA is a term, of course, you can see, as Bryan mentioned, it's a very huge market. Yes, it's 10 times, the population is 10 times of Hong Kong. Yeah, that market size really matter, but some more impactful factors for the startup is the lower cost of doing business in GBA. That is sometimes more important than the market size, I would say. And also the talent pool. No matter what kind of business or idea you have or innovation, I think people is the very key element. Yeah, but the problem is that in Hong Kong, I think all the founders will agree with me. It's really difficult to hire, especially the technical staff, right? But in GBA, they have a much bigger talent pool, and also easier to hire people from other area of China to GBA. Yeah, and actually some of our companies, they have set up their technical team in Shenzhen, in Dongguan, yeah, and that become sort of norm in Hong Kong startup area already. Yeah, so of course there's still a lot of benefits can bring to local startups in Hong Kong. Yeah, we may discuss later.
Yeah, so we have heard a lot of different numbers, like in terms of the GBA, GDP, and also the population. So in terms of government policy, there are a lot, and then as Bryan mentioned, that we should also leverage on every city's strength. So what do you think that Hong Kong in the Greater Bay Area, so what can be our positioning? And actually how all of us, the ecosystem builders, can actually help the enterprise and innovators to actually get into the GBA region?
Maybe I start first. Well, Hong Kong, for I think over several decades, we are playing the role just as a connector, right? We connect the Hong Kong with the mainland people, and we connect the mainland with the Western, right? And I think in terms of GBA, the role in Hong Kong, we also playing this kind of role. Okay, it's very crucial, especially we know much more than the mainland people that to connect with the other, the Western countries. And on the other hand, I think Hong Kong can play much more than that. For example, as Teddy mentioned just now about the talent, and also we're talking about the basic research in Hong Kong is very strong. As you may know that Hong Kong, when we're talking about the universities, talking about the QS top 100 university. In the whole GBA, there were total 5 universities is talking about the top 100 in the world. So all these 5 top universities are all in Hong Kong. So as you may know that, you may not know that when we talk about Japan, you know how many top 100 universities in Japan? It's also 5. It's also 5. So that means Hong Kong itself, we are just a 7 million people population, so we have such a world-class education systems. So we continue to develop quite a lot of technology talents to support the whole, especially talking about the I&T, the innovation and technology developments. So this is, I think, what also we can do. And much more than that, the Hong Kong government has already put quite a lot of resources to support the innovation and technology development in Hong Kong. So we're talking about the total investment is talking about 100 billion Hong Kong dollar. So a lot of infrastructure, we're talking about science park and also other, we're talking about the whole ecosystems to support, to groom those innovation and technology development in Hong Kong. And also Hong Kong is, from the central government, we are the international innovation and technology hub in mainland China. So all this is how Hong Kong can contribute to connect with those mainland GBA cities. So while we should a lot of this kind of collaboration with the mainland cities. We talk about in the recent, in the last policy address by the chief executive, we will also work closely with those 9 mainland GBA cities to do those we call the inward investment to attract those foreign companies to set their operation in Hong Kong and also in the Greater Bay Area.
Yeah, so I think it goes both sides, right? When we say that we want to bring the innovators from overseas in Hong Kong into the GBA, and also, of course, attract the GBA innovations to come to Hong Kong. And as Bryan mentioned, that government has invested over like $100 million into the infrastructure to support startup like Science Park. So maybe I can ask, we can ask Oscar to share a bit on what he sees, because Science Park has been doing a lot of different initiatives like the GBA Express to tell the enterprise like what can be the strategies to tap into the region. And there are different innovation challenges that welcome teams from other cities in the GBA region as well. So what do you see are the key challenges when these entrepreneurs are participating or setting up in Hong Kong, and how can Science Park actually help this enterprise to grow and scale?
Maggie, thank you for your question. Earlier I mentioned about the GBA Inno Express. Actually, when we think through the program, we sort out the biggest challenges for those startups when they're going into the GBA area. And then we want to really let all the starters to focus on the innovation to maximizing the growth opportunity in GBA. That's why we put in this GBA Inno Express program. Under this program, actually, we put together a roadmap to sort out the steps, each steps for those startups to look at opportunities in GBA. And in the same time, we leverage with our 16 partners, other science parks in the GBA area, as well as our strategic partners, to offer the advices to all the startups, to let them to have choices on different bases for them to choose to land their offices in GBA. In the same time, we also doing the one-on-one consultations for them. We're doing help them to go to the site visit, as well as doing some of the webinars to educate them and help them to understand all the implications to start a company in China, all the tax issues, and also IP, and also in the same time we connect them with all the talents, logistics, as well as the partners, and more important than for the investors as well. So all these things put together, hopefully all the starters will have a great choice on which of the area in the GBA they would like to land into that. And we are so happy to see there's many startups actually enjoying taking advantage of this GBA Inno Express program.
Yeah, so when you talk about giving support to the startups, like the one-on-one consultation and all the advice, I'm sure that Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund also provides such support. Can you share a little bit about like what kind of, other than financial commitment, what are the support that you see are the most important and helpful for the entrepreneurs?
I would say all innovative ideas need a grant to prove the concept, right? And try to explore the potential of the business. As what we are doing now, we not just provide the financial support as an investment, but we try to connect them with our business network. And also, even we bring those staff to join our the marketplace, like our e-commerce marketplace. And some of them, they become the service provider, like to our different business units, like China for logistics, and some of them work with the M-Finance to develop some new financial product and services. I think what we can do is that, just like not matters GBA or Hong Kong, we are trying to build up the network and try to get them ready for those business opportunities. I think that is most tough part and challenging part for any investors. Yeah. As an idea, how to commercialize, they need a lot of different factors. But the most important part is that they know what kind of value they're exactly to deliver to the commercial world, right? And I think there's a long journey. We would say when we help those startups to start the business or extend the business to China or GBA, the network is the key. And also we need to find the right network. Yeah, and of course, investor level is another part. Also, because all we understand, China, the commercial environment in China and Hong Kong is very different. Yeah, it's different, but what kind of difference? How different is it? Okay, I can say most of the local startups, especially for those young entrepreneurs, they don't know much about it. Okay, and in terms of that concern, we need to help them to gather more information. Okay, the best way is connect them with the local community, the commercial community in GBA and China. Yeah, and of course, more practical, we need to create some opportunities to involve them in some business project and let them taste how good is that area and how much they can do in that area. Just GBA can be a very good term, but we need to make it more practical, and so that they not just have a dream, but have a future plan for that. Yeah.
You're talking about practicality, like how to create like pilot opportunities for the startups in the region. We actually got questions from our online participants. It's more addressing towards Invest Hong Kong. So they mentioned that they are working in an online car booking system like Uber, and they found it is very hard and very complicated to actually get a license to run such a platform in China. And they wanted to know if there is any department or any teams within the Invest Hong Kong can help them achieve the local government's requirement. So in case like this, how can they approach you?
Well, hello. As mentioned just now, that we are establishing kind of collaboration with the local governments in the Greater Bay Area, I mean the mainland night cities. So we will, especially talking about the policy and regulatory requirements. So for us, we also need to get the right people. So we are arranging kind of promotion activities with those local communities, those local authorities in different subjects. For example, when talking about the just like the license you mentioned just now, so we may through the local municipal government to find the right people to answer those questions. And especially in mainland China, I think it's not only talking about the law and regulation, it's also talking about the interpretation of the law and regulation. And those is very important, and how you get the right meaning and how to implement if you really want to tackle in those markets. So we will try to facilitate and to make it happen and see how to support especially those overseas investors when they're looking for the opportunity in Hong Kong and also in the mainland China.
So in this case, when they want to reach out, so how they actually shall approach? Shall they send an email to your team?
Yeah, for Invest Hong Kong, we have total of over 30 offices around the globe. So you can reach our staff in different countries. Of course, you can send email to our staff in Hong Kong. For myself, it's also welcome.
Cool, thank you. I hope that clarifies the question on mine. So I think all of you have mentioned that there are challenges in tapping into the Greater Bay Area and how we can actually, we should be doing. For example, as Teddy mentioned, that we should create opportunities, pilots. So do you have any examples in mind for everybody online, everybody in the ecosystem to actually contribute, for example, from an incubator point of view, from the government policy regulator point of view, from investment fund point of view? So how can we actually contribute in different organizations?
So also me, right?
Feel
Okay,
free to
for the government level, so we will, especially for Invest Hong Kong, we are just kind of a bridge. We connect people. We connect people, I mean, we connect the investors, we connect those business projects when they have the intention to explore the opportunity in Hong Kong and also in the Greater Bay Area. So we connect them with those regulators, those talking about the local business community. And also we try to support them to find the right people to get the right answer. So also when talking about the Greater Bay Area, and this is also my plan because my focus will be in the Greater Bay Area. So I will, in my plan, I will establish kind of a network in the Greater Bay Area in each city. So my plan is we will have different, I mean, for each city, we have kind of those big incubators, science parks. So we will have the routine activities will be happen in that location. We try to let those people understand more about Hong Kong's, especially talking about the innovation and technology policies and ecosystem. And we bring the people from Hong Kong, from overseas to that, I mean, the GBA cities, and we also bring them to Hong Kong. We try to take a role as a bridge to make people understand more about different cultures, different law and regulations, and also the business opportunities. So this is what we are going to do, especially after the pandemic.
I think one of the key jobs for Science Park is also the BD, and helping them to connect to the right parties and the right people to talk to understand what is needed for the market and also for the policy. So we do have several teams working on different areas to help those people who really want to go to GBA and understand what sort of policy and what sort of things needed to get the breakthrough in those areas.
As an investor, we just do what normally we do. Yeah, we try to looking for the potential deal flows. Along the way, before during the process when we talk to those startups, first of all, nowadays, not just we are talking about the potential. If we're talking about the marketing, the potential markets, if they don't mention GBA, we will think that we will have some sort of concern. Yeah, as we know, Hong Kong is small, yes, but Hong Kong have very different position and very unique position. We know Chinese. We have very strong Chinese culture, of course, right? And we know China market better than anyone else in the world. right? Of course, we're not the best one. The best one is the local startup, the local customer in China. But they started to think big. In the past time, we may just, hopefully we can find some startup, they have future plan with global market. Yeah, the market is big, but it's not very specific. But for GBA, we will try our best to help them to work out a future plan for GBA and China, or even the south, at least south part of China. I think that is the future. That is the future for the local startups. Yeah, and we put a lot of effort to work out with those future plans. And of course, the best way is if we set up some criteria related to GBA or China market, so that help us to make the right decision, and also encourage those startups to think more about how to develop their business or set up their business in China market and GBA. And the second thing is that we also, before the pandemic, we have a quite scalable internship program. Every year we send at least around 100 university students to China to work with different business units under Alibaba Group. I think that is our way, trying to help to build up the talent pool in Hong Kong, the local, yeah. And so we encourage them. Some of them have been spent at least 6 months with our company. And that's very happy news that some of them even become our permanent staff in Alibaba Group. And that telling us that one very key message, Hong Kong young people, they have their own quality. They're very impressive, but we need to provide more information and try to make bigger room for them to think about what can they do in GBA in China, okay? And nowadays, I would say I only see a lot of one-sided information, try to push them to believe that. But I think the best way is let them experience, okay? I believe many other companies from private sector are also trying to do that. I think that's a good direction, okay? We need to figure out how to communicate better with the young people nowadays. I think the best way is try to work a journey with them and provide the choice to them, okay? And I think that is one of the way for long term we try to help to build up the innovation sector in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I think that's very encouraging to see how Alibaba Group is actually helping the younger generation to get immersed into the China market and the environment so that they can have a sense of how business are run over there. I think you brought up a quite interesting point that when you guys are evaluating these startups, and if they don't mention about GBA in their plan, that would raise a concern. And so you guys have a set of criteria about the GBA. Do you have any concrete examples to share, or is there any particular city that you would suggest them to go into? For example, should they start thinking about Shenzhen or Macau, or like any other particular region or any particular sector that they should actually start thinking about?
Yeah, I would like to share two cases. One of them is one of our portfolio companies called Cubital is providing invoicing finance. And for them, of course, in Hong Kong, they are doing good because there's a lot of trading companies, online sellers in Hong Kong selling the product to China and also selling China product to overseas. So they're doing great. But the problem is that how to scale up their business, okay? And how to get close to their potential clients. Then they figure out they need to do something in China. Okay, so they set up the office not just in GBA, but also in Shanghai. As a startup, they need to have better sense than those corporates, what's changed in the market, what's the new business needs. So the best way is to get close to the clients so that, and actually after a year, we can see that create huge impact on the business growth. Yeah. And the second company is AutoX. It's a auto driving company Yeah, and actually they are founded in Hong Kong, but I sadly say that they must move to China. Okay, actually they stay with Science Park before, yeah, and they try their best to get a license to do some trial run in Hong Kong, but they find there's no way they can get the license, the approval to run the testing in Hong Kong. And that's one of the key reasons they have to move to China earlier. Yeah, because they have over 100 of tests running on the road and gathering the data to improve their AI system. But they can do this in Hong Kong, right? So not just about the market or anything else, but the adoption of new technology is much better in China at this moment. And I think Hong Kong needs to change as well. Yeah, I know there's a lot of difficulties, but we need to change if we would like to try to compete with other cities, right?
Yeah, I totally agree on that point that we need to change, and now we are figuring out the way how we can work together. We actually got another question which wants to discuss a bit broader about like not just focusing on GBA, but instead the roadmap of GBA, how to collaborate with other regions like India, Southeast Asia, other regions. So what do you think as part, like Hong Kong part of this GBA, what would be the roadmap instead of just Hong Kong to GBA or GBA to Hong Kong?
Well, I think in Hong Kong, when talking about GBA itself, we also because Hong Kong is taking a very crucial role, especially under the dual circulation. So Hong Kong is, for the past several decades, Hong Kong is playing the role to connect the mainland China with the rest, right? So when talking about the Belt and Road, the other countries, especially besides the GBA, is talking about the Belt and Road Initiative. It's also one of China's policy. So Hong Kong is also taking a very crucial role to support those companies to connect with those Belt and Road countries. So, this is also our strength, for Hong Kong, our strength, and also our reputation and the trust we have gained for our so many years to do the business with the other countries.
What about Oscar and Teddy? Any thoughts about how to work with other startup ecosystems?
I think we do have international teams actually working with other besides GPA area, which we can learn from each other, because as a science park, we always foster the collaborations with the others. So if people have requests to expand into the other markets, please feel free to contact us, and we will extend our help to them.
As I mentioned earlier, Hong Kong, no matter geographically or traditionally, is at a very unique position. As we have a lot of advantages that mentioned by Bryan and Oscar, but one key thing is that we are the super connector. Naturally, we are the connector. As I meet a lot of startups from China in the past few years, a lot of people, before they think about move to global market, to develop their business outside of China, the first place they always think about is Hong Kong. Yeah. They feel more comfortable in Hong Kong because it's part of China. Hong Kong is part of China. And also the culture, of course, the institutional system is quite different between Hong Kong and China, but still understandable and easier to access to the right people to help them, to assist them on that area. So we are helping the companies and business in China to expand outside. But at the same time, we also have to bring those overseas company business to China. I think that is quite difficult for any other cities to replace this very unique position. So Hong Kong is Hong Kong. We always believe we have our very unique advantage.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think we all talked about a lot of different steps, and some key points is that we have policy framework, we have assess talents, we have pilot opportunities for innovators, and I think we are about time, but one final advice for entrepreneurs. What would you give to them? Maybe 10 seconds each.
Okay, if you want to start your new business, please consider GBA. And if you want to expand your business, please consider GBA and also Hong Kong. And if you want to know more about the GBA information, please contact Invest Hong Kong staff. And we also have a website. We just launched, I think last month. It's the gba.investhk.gov.hk.
Okay, I think for Science Park, I think we are setting up programs and also exploring the possibility to have some setup in GBA Fujian as an extension. So all this thing is really made for startups, for you. And I might really encourage you guys to be, don't feel shy and come up talk to us and explore the possibility to expand your business into GBA. I think it would be very fruitful.
I would say for any business, GBA definitely is a very huge market, a good opportunity, especially for Hong Kong companies. But at the same time, you need to well prepare for that journey. Okay, you need to understand, take your time, put extra resources to understand the difference and what sort of preparation you need to get ready before you tap into. Because you need to understand there's a very totally different commercial environment, then different business practice, different workflows, and you need to understand and align with that, okay? So yes, it's a good potential market for everyone in Hong Kong, but at the same time, please get yourself ready. And one of the ways you get yourself ready is send your proposal to our fund and get our financial support, of course.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bryan, Oscar, and Teddy. Hope that all of you have some insights about the GBA region and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.